Hey everyone, TJ back with another video. So if things couldn't get any worse, we've got some pretty depressing news that just hit X a few hours ago. So I wanted to make this quick video to address it because I'm completely caught off guard with this one. So just to give a quick recap before I get into the news, MSTR is down again. We just broke below the 200-week EMA. And things are pretty much in free fall mode. So I mentioned on the weekly RSI that I thought the buyers would come in, but it looks like the selling is even ramped up even more. So we just closed Thursday with 27 million shares traded. The volume is accelerating. You can see over the last 2 days we had at least 26 million shares traded. That hasn't happened before since April. Okay, so volume is way up. And more people are dumping. So I do believe a bit of this is short covering. The shorts are covering their positions, returning their shares and counting their profits, but also a lot of you are panic selling. So just to let you know, the entire market dumped. Okay, when Nvidia released earnings, it was temporarily up, and then the stock just started selling off and selling off. I think a lot of people are worried about the December FOMC meeting. They don't believe that Fed Chair Jerome Powell is going to slash interest rates. The Fed may pause. So I know this because I was over on Polymarket. So unfortunately, it looks like a lot of people are betting that the Fed will actually pause on interest rate cuts. So a lot of people are scared. Okay, fear is out there. The fear and greed index is extremely high on CNN. And over on crypto market cap. If we take a look here at the CNN fear and greed index, we can see it literally sits at 6, folks. A lot of people are feeling the effects of this market sell-off. Okay, so the good thing is that I know you're supposed to buy fear and sell greed. So wow, I mean, you know, literally we're running out of space to crash to, it looks like, right? We're sitting at 6, and apparently the range is from 0 to 100. So how much lower are we going to go? Well, we're sitting in extreme fear on a lot of the indicators. We head over here to the crypto fear and greed index over on coin market cap. That sits at 11.2. Okay, the crypto market cap is dipped below 3 trillion. Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of the cryptos are selling off. Bitcoin is really getting smoked. Okay, folks. So I know a lot of people out there think that the sky is falling. Okay, MSTR, it's been absolutely crushed ever since July. Okay, we're literally only $25 away from the stock losing literally 2/3 of its value over the last 4 months or so. And things are getting tricky. Okay, so for those of you that are thinking long term, this is a fantastic buying opportunity. So I would just say this is not financial advice, but you want to buy the dip. But for those of you out there that are, worried about the short run, I would say that don't worry too much because things could get worse. So unfortunately, I saw this floating around on X. You can follow me over on X at MSTR Investor. It says JP Morgan is warning that MSTR may be removed from the NASDAQ 100. So I was like, what? Is this FUD? Well, even CoinDesk posted an article about it. So let's read it. So it says JP Morgan warns MSCI decision could force strategy out of the top equity indices. The bank said billions in passive inflows could unwind if MSCI removes strategy from its equity benchmarks, heightening pressure on the Bitcoin levered firm. Oh boy, more bad news. What to know? JP Morgan said strategy's recent sell-off reflects mounting fears of index exclusion rather than Bitcoin weakness. MSCI's January 15th decision could trigger billions in passive outflows as major benchmarks reassess digital asset-heavy balance sheets. The bank warned that the index exclusion would hit the firm's valuation, liquidity, and strategy's ability to raise capital. So let's quickly read it. Okay, let's make sure I blow it up so everyone can see it. Okay, Wall Street investment bank JP Morgan said strategy's steep underperformance relative to Bitcoin in recent months has far more to do with looming index inclusion risks than with crypto market dynamics. Well, I don't know. That's debatable. Strategy's once inflated premium over its Bitcoin holdings has largely evaporated, but the more recent slide reflects the growing anxiety that the index provider MSCI may remove the company from key indices when it issues its January 15th ruling, the bank said in a Wednesday report. Now that is true. The premium is now a discount. Okay, so the discount is now below 1. So there's about a 9% discount to its relative Bitcoin holdings. That is true. Okay, the company founded by Michael Saylor currently sits in major benchmarks, including the NASDAQ 100, MSCI USA, and MSCI World. The report noted of its roughly 59 billion market capitalization, about 9 billion sits in passive vehicles, exchange-traded funds, mutual funds that track these indices. Analysts led by 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐭𝐚𝐜𝐭 said, this embedded presence has allowed Bitcoin exposure to seep indirectly into both retail and institutional portfolios. A dynamic the analyst said could sharply reverse if MSCI ejects strategy and other firms that rely on digital assets as core treasury holdings. Removal from MSCI alone could drive roughly 2.8 billion in passive outflows, with as much as 8.8 billion at risk if other index providers follow suit, according to the analyst. While the active managers aren't obligated to mirror the benchmark changes, the bank's analysts argued that losing major index status could deal a reputational blow, raising doubts about Strategy's ability to tap equity and debt markets. Lower index-linked activity could also thin liquidity, making the stock less appealing to large institutional investors. Strategy's combined market across equity, debt, and preferreds relative to its Bitcoin holdings has already fallen to the lowest level since the pandemic. A negative ruling on January 15th, the bank warned, would push that ratio even closer to 1, effectively tethering the company's valuation almost entirely to its Bitcoin stack. Okay, so here's take a look at some of the flows that are approximated with MSTR and some of these indices, including the NASDAQ 100 and some of these MSCI indices. So, wow, there is some validity to these statements, but they could be overblown. So let's take a look at the companies in the NASDAQ 100. So I'm over on stockanalysis.com. So here's a list of all the companies. So of course, NVIDIA is number 1. Strategy is currently sitting in terms of market cap around number 70. So there's still 30 companies with a lower market cap than Strategy. But ironically, Strategy is probably, looks like it's the only company on this list that doesn't even have at least $1 billion in revenue. Now, this list is inaccurate, okay, because remember, Strategy, the most of its value comes from Bitcoin gain. So Bitcoin gain is seen as net income, not revenue. So I wouldn't play too much into this, but just realize there are there are 30 companies with a smaller market cap than MSTR. So, you know, even companies down here in the NASDAQ 100, which have a market cap of under 20 billion. So, MSTR still has the top 5 largest cash treasuries in the world based on its Bitcoin holdings. But if MSCI wants to remove them from the indice in their 2 indices, it's possible that the NASDAQ 100 could follow suit. So I went over to ChatGPT and I wanted to figure out if this was FUD or this was legit. So Chat said that there are 3 reasons why companies would get delisted or kicked out of the NASDAQ 100. So first, a falling out of the top 100 by market cap. Okay, so that's the main reason why companies get delisted. And according to Chat, it says the NASDAQ 100 is a ranking of the 100 largest non-financial companies on the NASDAQ. If a company's market cap drops too much, or if new high-growth companies pass it, it can get bumped off during the annual rebalancing in December. That's the number 1 reason why companies get removed. So good news is that Strategy is no longer is nowhere near the bottom. Okay, they're currently ranked number 70th in terms of market cap. So there's some other companies that are performing, a lot worse that could potentially get removed. So that's good. It says no longer meets listing requirements. Okay, of course the share price of MSTR is well over $1. So they've been reporting all of their quarterly financials and things like that. That's been fine. And they're nowhere near bankruptcy because we talked about the debt to equity ratio for MSTR is about 14%. So they're well capitalized. And the third reason is if a company gets acquired or bought out or private. So I didn't see anything about Michael Saylor talking about taking the company private. In fact, I believe that Strategy could buy other Bitcoin treasury companies that are distressed during this panic sell-off, and we'll probably talk about that in a later video. So normally I would probably be scared if I read this report, but since I've already been scared for like a couple of weeks now, I don't really have any more fear about these articles. But it is kind of funny that all of these articles and all of these negative reports are coming at the same time that the stock is absolutely crashing. So like I said, for me, this is actually a blessing where I'm able to like buy more shares at a cheaper price, because for those of you following my channel, you know that I ended up panic selling some of my shares back in September 2023, and that really reduced the amount of shares that I was holding across my 𝐷𝐸𝐻 and my SEP IRA accounts. So I even called Vanguard. I'm going to be opening a new SEP IRA, and I'm thinking about transferring my assets from Vanguard to E-Trade, because I'm really salty about Vanguard not offering Bitcoin and not offering Bitcoin ETFs to its customers. And also I don't really like Vanguard. You have to pay $1 per options contract, where if E-Trade it's only 65 cents. So I'll be saving a lot of money trading options and just moving my SEP IRA over to E-Trade, and I'm looking into that right now because I'm just kind of fed up with Vanguard. Their UI is really slow and everything. So like I said, I'm looking to start again and like I said, kind of build on this dip through E-Trade. So for those of you out there that are looking for a new broker, E-Trade is fantastic. I really haven't had any problems with them. Vanguard is slow. They're like an old dinosaur, and they've banned the Bitcoin ETFs. They refuse to offer them to customers. So just a quick tidbit for those of you out there, if you're looking to trade options and kind of save money if you're using Vanguard, E-Trade is a nice alternative. But like I said, I don't really know. I was hoping we would get an S&P 500 inclusion on December 5th. Now they're thinking about basically delisting MSTR across the board. Boy, that would be pretty terrifying. And there is some validity to that, because if they're removed from the indexes, a lot of fund managers and managing mutual funds and index funds would theoretically sell the stock, which would create even more panic selling. So I thought to myself, what is the motion that I'm feeling now? And obviously I'm feeling fearful. And I always remember what, great investors like Warren Buffett said, buy when there's blood in the streets. I don't think things could get much worse at this point. I mean, I could be wrong. And, I told people to buy MSTR at $320, and now we're almost down 50% from that point. So I don't know at this point, the emotions I'm feeling now are pretty wild. I'm kind of shocked, but I'm excited at the same time, because I get my paycheck within a day now and able to just go in there and make a 4-figure plus smash buy. So I'm excited to smash buy, but I'm not excited on all of this negative news. So if we kind of back up and take a look at the monthly chart and kind of move this so we can take a look at the Bitcoin standard era. I previously mentioned that since the Bitcoin standard era, the monthly RSI is never dipped, below 40. So we're currently on the monthly RSI. We're currently at about 45, and we have about long term. We can draw a long term. So we got long term support here at around $173. We're currently at $177. Will we break past it? We're already broke past the danger zone, and we're basically past the panic zone. Now we're basically at, is this it mode? If we continue breaking down, we break past 173, which is like the long-term support dating back to March 2024. I don't know. I know how much worse can things really get at this point. I mentioned, everyone, you really need to hedge your portfolio if you have a substantial position. Buying puts is something that you should be doing on an annual basis. It's really easiest to do this in January, to build a good habit of every January. When you look at your portfolio, you want to buy a put expiring at least a year in advance to give you an option to get out of the stock if it crashes. I talk about this strategy in my ebook, MSTR Options Cash Flow. It's $50. Everyone watching this channel should be investing in their education, before you really think about investing substantially. Otherwise, you could end up losing your shirt, panic selling, and making some bad decisions. But all in all, I would say if your time horizon is more than 4 years, you want to buy this dip. if you're worried about this risk of being excluded, being kicked out of the NASDAQ 100, then you definitely want to look into put options. Put options will be your friend, because if that happens, well, at this rate, it looks like we're going to crash below 100. I don't believe that. I just can't see it happening, how all of this is kind of unwinding before our eyes. I really don't want to believe it. But, you know, I knew the stock was extremely volatile. You know, I told everyone I held, you know, in 2022 when the stock lost 75% of its value, but I didn't imagine it making all of this progress, making the NASDAQ 100, becoming the 5th largest, you know, cash treasury in America, and then all of a sudden just losing all of that within 52 calendar weeks. So I'm speechless right now. Only thing I can do right now is buy the dip, which is what I'm going to do with my paycheck. And I told everyone that since the MNAV is below 1, you're getting MSTR in relation to its Bitcoin holdings at a 9% discount. So I'm going to be buying the discount and hodling. Like I said, I'm here with you. For those of you haters out there that say I'm making fewer videos, sometimes I won't post an extra video if I'm already ranking #1 for the keyword MSTR on YouTube, right? You know, like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So obviously I'm making these videos to help everybody, but I'm also making them to rank high in YouTube. So sometimes when I post a video, if I'm already ranking #1 for that keyword, I'll just let the video ride. And then once another video bumps me down, I'll make a new video. So I don't always make videos based on necessarily the stock price and stuff like that. There is kind of an SEO element to this. And if you've been on YouTube or you're a YouTuber, you understand what I'm talking about. And also sometimes I don't want to beat a dead horse. Okay, if I made a video and it's performing really well, and you know, the people are liking it, and I have the #1 out of 10 ranking. You know, on YouTube, when you look at analytics, sometimes they give you a rating based on how the video is performing. So if I hit a #1, sometimes I let the video ride and let people consume that content. So look, I've been consistent every single business day since September. I'm in this stock long term. I'm going to keep making videos. So for you haters out there who think I'm going to disappear like other YouTubers, as long as I'm, you know, healthy, you know, alive, or you know, able to make videos, I'm going to make them. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be buying the dip, and I'm going to post a screenshot of my 4-figure plus purchase once my paycheck hits my account. So join the MSTR Investors Club to check that out if you want to see this. This is fun. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm not buying to this. I'm buying the dip, but I could be wrong. This is not financial advice, and I've lost my shirt. My net worth has been smoked. I'm pretty much down 2/3 on my net worth, folks. If you guys are hiring, I know I'm kidding, but seriously, I think a lot of people out there are definitely dusting off their resume and looking for jobs if this sell-off continues. So TJ's hanging in there, and I hope everyone's doing well. You know, the Nvidia earnings was so good, but it didn't help. Let's hope this is market FUD. Let's hope that the Fed cuts interest rates on December 10th, because I think the market is going to rebound very aggressively. That's really what we need at this point. So I hope everyone out there is doing well. Like I said, take care of your health. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Make sure you're eating well. We'll get through this. I promise. I held through a 75% drawdown in 2022. That was the worst financial year of my life. I didn't sleep a lot, and we got through this. And I was relieved that I bought the dip then. So I hope this 2025 is a repeat, and you know, we can look back on this in 2026 and laugh as a bunch of us, you know, bought the dip and made a lot more money as Bitcoin roars back. So I hope everyone out there is doing well. If you need someone to talk to, or you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. So that's all I got. See everyone in the next one. Take care.